Hello,
All
everyone.
right, everybody. While we're getting everybody all logged in, I'll just welcome you all here. We're very excited about today's roundtable. We have a special guest, Steve, and always mess up your name, Steve. Always mess it up.
Nope.
Bjorkman?
Yeah, it was close. Bjorkman, yep. Just
Bjorkman.
sort of like
Okay.
it's spelled, yep.
Just like it's spelled.
Just
Well,
like it's
and
spelled.
we're all so excited to have you here. Steve is the owner of Notary Gadget, an entrepreneur, and kind of a big deal in the notary industry. So we're really super excited to have you here. And
Well,
then,
thank you.
of course, I'm here, Michael Ray, CEO of Notary to Pro. Tamika Harris is our faculty member here joining us, and we're very excited. I think Tamika is very excited specifically to talk to Steve today.
Yes.
And Marjorie Rigador, thank you, Marjorie, for pulling together our call today. We're very excited about today. It's going to be a good call. Okay.
Right.
With that, let me just say, I think you can page forward just one, Marjorie, while we're waiting for everybody to get in. One more down. Anyway, we do these on a monthly basis. Back maybe. Sorry about that, everybody. Okay, so we do these monthly roundtables, and the goal here is to limit it to 30 minutes. We keep it short. We try to make it very impactful, give you meaningful, valuable information that impacts your signing business, improves your skills, or just in general makes life better. I think today's topic kind of fits all of them. It impacts your business, makes life a little better, and gives you some valuable information. So we don't have a PowerPoint to share with everybody today. We're just going to have an open conversation. Marjorie, do you want to take that the PowerPoint down?
Okay.
All right. While we're getting started, if you would please introduce yourself in the chat. Just tell us where you're from. And all through today, if you have questions, if you have comments that you'd like to make, we urge you to put it in the chat, and we will try. Marjorie's going to pay close attention to that, and hopefully we will get to your question. That's one of our goals. So please feel free to put those things in the chat, or otherwise. What is the Q&A also is another option for you. So great. How's everybody doing? How are you, Steve?
Oh, fantastic. Oh, sorry. No, doing excellent. Yeah. Thank you for having me. It's always exciting to see everybody here and share what's going on with Notary Gadget, and it's nice to hear stuff. It's nice to hear from people who use the software or are thinking about using it too, because a lot of these sessions that we do, not just you guys, but on other platforms, but it's always great because sometimes there's good ideas and stuff that comes out of those, and it's sharing. And there's a lot of times like people are like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. So, and then, as we get going today, I was thinking about that today. I was like, what can I do to kind of add some value, especially to the users who already use Notary Gadget? I'm sure there's going to be a ton of them on here. And I was thinking about, like, because this is a great timing. We actually just did a release this morning. So there's a couple of new features that are in there. And the problem is we do so many and so often, it's hard to just do like a newsletter blast or something like that. So that only affects like a small percentage of our users. But for the people who do want to do those things, it's like, oh, that's great. So we can talk a little bit about some of the new things that we've released. I think even recently, maybe since the last time you and I had one of these meetings.
I think you've had several releases between the last time we talked. It's been way too long.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's been a lot lately. Yeah.
And Steve, one thing that impressed me about you in our first conversation is you really seem to be customer focused. You talked about all the changes you are making to Notary Gadget that are really driven by your users and adapting for them, which is really a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it is the foundation of creating software for us. That's what we do. Yeah, I mean, sometimes we come up with some ideas that we think are cool and we'll release them, you know,
Sure.
like all people like this, but a lot of times we don't even get it right. And then it's feedback that then takes and tweaks it a certain direction. And then people are like, oh, now it's really
Sure.
great. So that's, you know, like I always say,
Yeah.
nowadays it's not even really so many of our ideas, it's mostly our users' ideas. And everything that's coming that we're going to talk about today was all user ideas. So it's fantastic.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
You got a whole ecosystem driving your change. So
Mhm.
Tamika, I know you're excited. You get to meet Steve.
Yes.
He's not quite a movie star, but close, right?
He's close,
I don't know
yes.
what bad movie I'm in here, but
It's definitely a lifesaver for me.
Yeah,
Oh, good.
awesome.
Well, I'm glad.
Tamika, why are you so excited to talk to Steve and in particular about Notary Gadget?
Because I really, really love the software. Like I don't think there's nothing more that I can ask for within the software. But you keep rolling things out. So those are probably things that I've never thought of. And it just keeps getting better and better. But it does absolutely keeps me together. Like I don't have to worry about overbooking now. I love the auto feature where you could just send it into there and it uploads to Notary Gadget. When you yeah, I love that feature and it syncs to my calendar. So, like I say, I don't have to worry about overbooking. It's always there. And it tells me all the information I need, especially like geared towards signings. So you get the county, because that's something that we use on every signing as far as the venue. It tracks the mileage and it does absolutely everything that I can that I would need in my business.
Yeah. You worked for a while, Tamika, without Notary Gadget, right?
Yep, I did.
So what was
And
the biggest change for you?
the biggest change was my bookkeeping, because when I first started, I was trying to do it on spreadsheets or on my own. So I really wasn't able to track like if a payment is behind or if I never received that payment. So that was actually a big lifesaver for me.
I bet. Bookkeeping can get complicated.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And we were just talking
the longer you
before
wait on it, the worse it gets too, right? So
yes.
that's one of those things where everybody hates doing it, so you put it off, and then like this is why everybody stresses out for. Sorry, I didn't mean to hijack the conversation, but like this is so critical. It's like the one thing that I try to emphasize with everybody I've ever talked to is like, don't put stuff off. It's like, especially accounting and bookkeeping, it is the one thing that if you do it, it makes it such a mountain. It makes a mountain out of a molehill if you wait to the very end. And everybody does. If everybody stresses out about their taxes at the very end because nobody wants to do it, and they wait to the very last minute, like, okay, now all of a sudden got to get it done, and then it's overwhelming. You're stressed out. Yeah, if you just set some time aside to do it every so often, once a quarter, once a whatever. I mean, Notary Gadget is a little bit different because it's the way it's designed. It sort of makes you do it as you go, which is the whole concept behind it, right? So then you really never get to that point. But like a lot of people don't do it with their expenses, for example. Like a lot of people will put those off. But if you set time aside once a quarter and be like, I'm going to put everything in there once a month, like then it becomes it's really not bad. You're like, oh, all right, I spent 10 or 15, 20 minutes doing it instead of getting to the very end and it's, oh my God, it's 8 hours and I'm going nuts. I'm going to pull my hair out,
Well, and you forget stuff. That's the problem. You just forget stuff, right? Yeah. So, Tamika, I would think because you do such a mix of notary work that it's particularly challenging to keep track of all this, right? Because it's one thing if all you're doing is loan signings and you've got corporate clients that are giving you work, right? You kind of know what they all are, but you're dealing with apostilles, you've got estate planning, wills, traditional notary work, plus loan signings, right? So you've got to stay on top of that early.
Yeah, but I love that within the software you can add those different categories. So so that's good. And then you can also add expenses that's specific to that signing. So that's great. So like if I have to pay for a postage for something, I can, make it go to that signing. So It really is a lifesaver.
Yeah. And speaking of specific fields, Guy Case has a comment here. Steve, I see you've added type of loan as a field. Can I do a search or report to glean the makeup of my sales?
Not yet, it's coming, probably next week. We had to do this part that we just released this morning first, but that's the next one on the list, and then it's actually gonna get even more. The software's gonna change quite a bit without trying to go into too deeply, but the way that you'll even be able to track your type of jobs are gonna start to change a little bit too. It'll be more intuitive than it is right now, so when you, for
Okay.
example, if you select like an apostille, like the fields are all going to change to match up what you would typically track for an apostille versus just calling it a loan signing or whatever. So yeah, so that's like our next like big thing that's sort of coming in probably the next 3 weeks. But the report is going to come before that because we're still going to use the same fields for it. So
Okay. So that report is particularly helpful, I think, and Guy is mentioning this, just in terms of understanding where your money's coming from, right?
yeah, right. It's yeah, exactly right. Like you want to see what type of work is generating the most cash. Well, in all reality, it should be, well, this is going to tie into what I'm going to talk about today, but in not only what's generating the most money, but what is the most profitable on top of that, right? Because you can generate a lot of money, but when you look at it on your effort versus reward, or I'll call it your hourly rate, you
Yeah.
could be doing some signings or you're getting paid $15 an hour because you're spending so much time on it versus doing some easier stuff or whatever where you're making 40, 50, 60, $70 an hour. So, and then also being able to look at that over time and being able to streamline, be like, hey, why did I go down this month, or why did I go up? What can I do to try to get that average hourly rate up? So so that's one of the features we're going to talk about, is being able to track that.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, this is the way that you can scale your notary business, right? Without this tool, scalability is a real problem, right? Because you get bogged down in administrative work for one thing, but on top of that, you now don't really have the information that you need to understand where you should focus your energies, right? So I think one of the reasons we were excited to have you on is just if you're interested in growing your business, there's the marketing aspect, but there's also the management aspect, and being efficient and effective in managing your work is really critical, and it feeds that marketing effort.
Yep.
Tamika, did you ever, what, other than the scheduling, what was the thing that really, and the bookkeeping, what was the thing that transformed when you started using a system like this?
I like it keeps up with everything that I need, like the mileage. And what really another feature that I like is that it gives you the county. So when you have to fill out the venue basically on every signing. So instead of me having to go find it online or ask the signer, it's right there. And I really like the text feature, which is through the app. So I set up a few texts, like I do a confirmation text after I talk to the signer. So I send them information. I do review text. So like once the signing is complete and the documents are mailed, then I'll send them an email, about thanks for the service. I hope they enjoyed, and if they could leave a review. I have a reminder message, so I usually send that out like the day before the signing to remind them. So that it really comes in handy. It really does.
So it's managing all the communication with your client and with
Mm-hmm.
the signer, huh?
Yep.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Great. All right. Steve, do you want to share a little bit about what was in the latest update? And then we'll kind of go on to like the future
sure.
here.
So yeah, we can. So the update that we did this morning is the ability. Let me see if I can share my screen here. And I think this will be the easiest way to do it. Let me do. Can you guys see my screen?
No.
Not yet. Do we need to give you permission to share, or?
Yeah, it said request, so I requested it, but.
Oh. Marjorie, you may have to.
Yep, I just accepted the request.
Oh,
you-
okay, great.
Okay.
All right.
Do you guys see anything yet?
No.
Oh, there
Nope.
we go. Sorry. Yep, I got
It's got you on restriction, Steve. It's got you restricted, locked down. There we go.
Okay, now you guys can see me, right? So, let's see if I can do this.
Oh yeah, look at that. I like the
There you go.
colors. There we go.
Okay. All right.
And
So if
everybody loves
I-
the money.
right? Oh, that was the, hold on, that was the video. Let me close that.
Oh, okay. All
Okay.
right.
So I'm just logging in my test account here. It's
Mhm.
gonna take a few seconds to load. Loads a bunch of extra stuff that you guys normally don't see.
Mhm.
And I love that the interface is so simple to follow, because other software is just like more technical, but this is just like so simple.
Well, I'm glad to hear that too. That's like the one thing that we focus on pretty intently is like the user interface.
Mm-hmm.
Taken so.
Oh.
No, it's an offline, like
Oh.
a development platform. There you go.
Oh, okay.
Now. What's going on?
So
I was just in it like 10 minutes ago too.
well,
Oh, there we go.
sometimes Zoom. Oh, there we go. Is that your video or is that what you wanted to show
Yep.
us?
No, this is what I want to
Okay.
show you guys. So
Oh, perfect. Okay.
yep. So there's a couple things. I'm actually going to start a little ways back, and then I'm going to work our way towards what was today, because all this stuff all kind of ties together at some point.
Yeah.
So when you normally first open up your account and you go to the signings page, so anybody who's used the software is gonna why is it running so? It's just running slow. I wonder if it's because Zoom's on or something. So normally when you first open up your account, like you only have what we call these alerts, and alerts are like a way of, they're like tasks really. So we probably should rename it to tasks instead of alerts. But the idea is being the alert is there's something that you have to do on the signing. So the whole concept behind Notary Gadget, for those of you that might be here and haven't used it yet, is the idea is that you're trying to always complete tasks, and when these icons are colorful, it means that that task needs to be completed, and then once it's done, or if it's not required yet, it's in a gray status. So by default, when you go to the signings page, it always says it's either unpaid or has an alert. So the idea is you're always, it's think about it as like working as like an inbox, is like their goal is to always have all your emails read. This is the same concept. It's like trying to have all the tasks done on all of your signings. So, and that's what, if we go back to the home page here for a second, that's what this summary gives you right away as soon as you log in. It's telling you anything that's in orange over here is something I have to do. So if I'm looking over here, I'm like, oh, I got 13 signings where I have not, put in my journal entry. I have 21 where I haven't sent invoices. I got 22 I haven't entered my mileage yet. I got 24 that I need to enter notarial acts. I got one where I have not entered in the time I spent on the signing, and we'll get back to that in here in a second. And then I have 25 of them where I didn't actually enter in what my total fees were. So, and as you use the software, it becomes more clear on that. So, but by default, what happens is you really only have, you have your invoice not sent, your mileage not entered, your notarial acts not entered. Those are like the only three you really have when you first start, when you first create an account in Notary Gadget. All these other ones are extra ones that you can turn on. So, and that's what a few of those things are the ones that we added. And the way you turn them on is you go to the settings page and you go down to alert. So you can start to track, have you confirmed your appointments or not? You can start tracking whether you've received the docs and have you printed them yet? You can track if you sent in your scan backs. And then the newest one that we just released this morning was as the entering in the time you spent on the job, which is then used to calculate your hourly rate. And then you can look at your average hourly rate over time on a per customer basis. And I'll show you a report of that here in a little bit. But kind of going back to that, like those are some of the big features that we've added probably over the last like 6 months or something like that. So, and it's really simple.
Wow,
like
that's fantastic.
Yeah, like the time
So,
spent, like,
so
oh, I just
notaries
my
can
time.
actually dig down and figure out for each type of work that they're doing, how much time they're spending, what their hourly rate would be. And
Mhm.
that's
Yeah,
awesome.
so
Tamika, do you do
ironically,
that
we
in
just
your?
released yeah. Yeah,
No,
so if you
I
go to like so if you go to the reports, there's an hourly rate report, which is just new this morning.
Oh, just this morning.
So I can,
Okay.
yeah,
and then,
I
I can
haven't.
break. Yeah, just this morning, that one just got released this morning, yep. So like
That's
here where it gives
awesome.
you, your hourly rate over, you can say, oh, this is how many signings I did. So mine's it's a bunch of test
Mhm.
data, so it doesn't, yours will look a little more normal, but hey, this is how many hours I
Mhm.
spent, what was my actual profit over those, and then it breaks it down per customer. So, and there's a
Yeah.
video that explains it if you just go to the reports and hit
Yeah.
hourly rate report. Mine's turned on. If you don't have it turned on, it'll say, watch this video.
Hey,
It talks about how to turn it on and all that stuff.
hey, Steve. One of the questions from a participant from Blaine is, how do you define time spent on the job? Printing, driving, scanning, what goes into that?
Yep. So your hour, so when you go to signings, it'll actually tell you what to put in there. No, sorry, mine's running super slow. I think it's because it zooms on. So if I come in here and I click on the hourglass, it says enter the total time you spend on this job, including drive time, scan backs, etc. Right? Because that's the total amount of time you have spent on working on that particular job. So you want to make sure you include everything that you have to do on it, because
Oh, I
otherwise
see.
you're not really getting a true hourly rate, right? Whether it's driving or not, it's still time you're spending doing it. So
Sure, driving, printing documents, all kinds of stuff, right?
everything, yeah, everything, right? Yeah, it's whatever you're doing that
Yeah.
has any relation to that. It's like communicating with the customer, right? Like
Sure.
everything you have to do is part of the amount of
Mhm.
work that you do. And obviously it's going to be somewhat of an estimate. Like there's no check in, check out or anything like that. But it should give you a good idea. I think most people will know. They're like, yeah, all right, that I'm sure, in the back of your head, like Tamika, when you go into a signing, I'm sure on some of them you're like, man, that was a long one, right? That was like an hour and a half. And then some of them you're like, well, that was great. That was 30 minutes. I was in and out of it, or whatever it might be, right? So
Yeah.
now you'll actually be able to track that, and you can say, hey, what does my average hourly rate really look like? And then you can start to make changes to try to change that. And that's one of the
Sure.
reasons that we do on this hourly rate report is we show it
Sure.
over time. Right. So like, hey, what was it in
Mhm.
January, February, March, April, May? So you can do it by year or whatever. So if I think it's 2014, 2024,
Yeah.
a little bit more data, but you get the idea, right? So anyway, that was our newest one that we had, and like the docs
Well,
you
that's
see.
fantastic.
Yeah, like I said, a lot of people don't even sort of know this stuff even exists because it's not on by default. And it's from our perspective, it's sort of a difficult choice because we don't want to overwhelm everybody
Oh,
with it right away. You start using the software, you're like, oh my God, this is way too much work. I'm tracking way too much stuff. But as you start to
right.
become busier and more refined in your business, then you start to want to track these stuff, especially like
Sure.
doing things like, have I even got documents yet, right? So when I click on this, I can say, oh, I
Yeah.
have the docs received, but I haven't printed them yet. Have I already printed them? Like that's a big deal when you start to become a very busy notary because you're like, oh man, I don't know, I got
Right.
6 signings today. Like I don't remember, did I get the docs for this one? Did I not? So you can track all that stuff. And then again, even for fax backs, right? So if I got to click my fax backs, hey, have they been sent? Are they not required? Not sent? So it gives you that ability to track it. And then the idea is always you're trying to work this list to zero. The whole concept behind it is getting these to all go gray. So in a perfect world, you would have all of these mostly gray, other than what you're basically about to
Meaning
work with.
everything is done and taken care of, right? You're all caught up, right?
Yep, exactly. So, and it's
Right.
like the
And
same concept when you click on it. It's like those same things are like this list over here, similar to the homepage. So if it's in
so,
orange, then you got to do, there's something you have to do.
right. So Steve, you have a lot of features in the software, but for somebody who's just starting out with using the software, what are really the core things that you find your customers are looking for to get
So
started?
the core things, and that's part of why we don't turn on all these extra stuff in here. And the big reason is because when you're really busy, you probably don't need to track whether, or when you're really busy, I'm sorry, when you're first starting out, you probably don't need to track, hey, have I confirmed? Well, I shouldn't say the appointment confirmed when you might actually want to track that one. But you know, like you probably don't need to track whether or not you know you've received the documents, or track whether or not you needed to send in your scan backs, right? Because you're not really busy. If you're only doing one signing a day, like it's on the back of your mind all the time. It's pretty easy to manage.
Yeah.
But when you start to do a bunch of them is when all that stuff starts up. So that's why, in particular, we only start off with, hey, has my invoice has been sent, right? Because some companies require invoices, some do not. Mileage is obviously a big one, right? Because you need to track your mileage.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you're maximizing your tax.
It's money in your
deduction.
pocket.
Yeah, money in your pocket. And then same with the notarial acts. Like that's the big one that a lot of new notaries who aren't using a system, that's probably that more than justifies Notary Gadget. Like you'll usually save somewhere between, I think we even say it on our website, like the average user saves like $1,600 a year by using Notary Gadget. And a lot of that comes from tracking your notarial acts. So like if you're not doing that as a new user, like you're losing out on so much savings. It's huge. It's just like, it's basically like not tracking your mileage, right? It's just as bad.
Right. Well, it's not taking advantage of a big segment of your tax-free income, right? Basically.
Yeah, right.
And
it's something that I think reverends
so of all the innovations and all the features you've added, Steve, because our time runs so short on these calls.
Sorry. I know.
That's okay. I just wanted you to share what to you was sort of the biggest aha for some of your clients, because you track all the nuts and bolts stuff, but when you implemented some of these really cool features, what was the thing that stood out as notaries are like, this is just a transformational or different?
The importer. Something recent. I mean, that's been years now, but like probably the importer. So like you can forward your order confirmation emails into automation@notarygadget.com, and the system will automatically pull all the data from it and then queues it up in here under this import button on the signings page. So when I click import, I can come in here now and it's like queued up and I say, okay, I want to import this order. And then it goes through and it pulls through all the data that was inside of that order. So that's a huge one.
You've got it all in one place.
Yeah, you're always in one place. And now you don't, it just eliminates all the data entry, right? So that's the problem with any system, is when you got to go and you got to type in the name and phone number, like it takes forever to do that. But now you can send it in, and you know, we support, I don't know, we just kind of changed the way this whole thing is set up too. So if I go on supported platforms, you come over here, there's like some that are a little different the way we import, where you set up like a PDF where you copy and paste into an email and then you send it in. But we're always adding new importers. Like we just added Notary Every Day. We just added Solidify. We've got like 2 more that are in the hopper right now that we're working on. So we're always expanding that. We support all the major platforms, you know, Signing Order and SnapDocs and all that stuff. So yeah, that's very cool. Probably the biggest aha one.
Okay.
But you know, it's funny, but I mean, you say that, but it's so hard because there's so many little ones. It's like you know, death by 1,000 nails or something, right? There's just all these little ones that stack up, and after a while, you're like, wow, it just kind of does everything.
Well, hopefully, it's not death, Steve. Hopefully, it's positive. It's gifts. It's a stream of gifts that just keep arriving, right? That's the way we want to think.
Millionaire by pennies. There you go.
Tamika, do you have any? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that's what got me, was the importer, was what really brought me in, and then it's just so many different things that comes along with it. So I think I made the right choice. I'm happy with it. I have no complaints.
Awesome.
Glad to hear that.
And we did have a question from Michelle that sounds like a specific question about difficulty getting it to recognize a confirmation email to import. Where does somebody go for customer support for a question like that? How do they get that sort of resolved?
You got a big help button if you're inside the website here. If you're in the app, you just come over here to more, help. And then we just changed this morning too. So this is the first thing. That it used to just take you right to here where you would just type in your question. But now we actually say, is this about, because we get a lot of questions about exactly what she's talking about, where you know, this one didn't import, what was wrong with it or whatever, and then we can look at the logs and we can figure out what's going on. But it's more instructional than that now. So if I say yes, this is about a thing, and she's like, so she said, okay, you know, how to import or report a problem. So if she wants to report a problem, no, is it one of these? If it is, then it'll say like, hey, this is the way that you need to do it, versus, because a lot of people are like, we used to just say, send in the order form, send in the order confirmation, and then the system will reply back. And it still does that. It replies back and tells you whether it was imported successful, and if not,
Okay.
what the reason why is. But we found that people either aren't reading them, or they go to spam, or whatever happens, and they don't find out. So now this is a much better way. And then you can still, obviously, if you're still having an issue, you can still report problems. So the best way is to go through it. Like I said,
Go
this
through
is all new.
that big help button.
Yep, big help button. Yep, big help button.
And if somebody doesn't see a pre-arranged answer, I'm assuming you have follow-up for that.
Yeah,
they can't get things resolved.
Yeah, even if you're like, this is not about this. If I type in something about invoice, it's gonna bring up a list of like videos or whatever, like, oh, hey, how do I change my invoice settings? And then there's a video, and then you can like minimize it, so you can actually watch the video while you're running around inside the software too.
So, okay. Very nice.
Basically follow it and walk along with it. Yeah, you can move it.
It makes it a little easier when you have a video just to show exactly.
Yeah. Right. Oh yeah. Instead of saying, you know, click here and then click here and then click here, and they can't find it. So yeah, we try to do as much video stuff as we can. There's some in there that are text answers, but it's usually like, just go to this page and do this or something. So
perfect. So guys, I can't believe it's already been a half an hour. Matter of fact, we're a little bit over. And these calls just go so fast, but we do it this way so that we can get everybody in to listen to something cool, and and then move on with their busy lives and notary practices. So Marjorie, I noticed there are several questions that came in that are sort of specific. So can we arrange to get those to Steve, and that way he can respond individually to those questions? Because I think there were questions about signing services and subscription and using the automation tool and things like that, that probably apply to just a couple of very specific cases. So go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, so actually for those of you that put those questions in, the best thing to do is go through like if you're already a user, log into your account and then use the need help button. And then you can ask all of those questions. If you're not a user, you can still do it from our website. So if this is like a pre-question or whatever, so if you just go to our website, you can go to more questions, contact us. And then, it'll ask you a question. All right. Yep. Still need help, whatever. Then, do you have an Notary Gadget account? No. Put your name, put your question, all that stuff, and then submit it that way. And the reason I want you guys to do it this way is because it gets logged in our ticketing system. So we have a whole system that's set up to do ticketing, so we can track resolution of issues. We can track, what the responses are. It's a whole. We actually built that whole system from the ground up as well. So it's completely integrated. So, for example, when you're a user and you ask a question from that, like we can pull up a bunch of stuff about your account that's going to help us answer that particular question for you, because it might be different. The answer might be different for you than it is for a different user. So we can actually give you a much better answer. And obviously, if you're doing it from inside your account, it's going to start pulling up videos and everything else.
Okay. Steve, we're going to have you back on, because we completely didn't talk about any of the future around notary work, or I wanted to get into like questions about AI, and are we going to start seeing AI in Notary Gadget, and all kinds of good stuff. So we've got lots of good stuff to talk about in a future conversation.
Yeah, would love to. Yeah, maybe we'll set something up for a couple of months, maybe 2 or 3 months. We should have a lot to talk about then, because there's a lot of stuff cooking in the background, so that we're really excited to release here.
Yeah, and so much respect for you and what you've done and your kind of entrepreneurial spirit. We're just really privileged that you would come on to our call today. Thank you.
Oh yeah, the pleasure's mine. I mean, I'm happy to be here. I think very highly of Notary to Pro. So like it's always happy to be here.
Awesome.
Love talking.
Tamika, anything to add? Marjorie, what do you think?
Yeah, Steve, you're forgetting something. The trial.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So I didn't think about that yet. So people I always think of like people who are, like who are already users. So yeah, so it's another thing too. If you're here and you're not a user yet, go try it. Like it's the best way, people ask us a million questions. The best thing to do is just go try it. It's totally free. You don't enter in a card, nothing like that. You get 15 signings for free, no matter how long it takes you. It could take you 20 years to get there. Hope not, because that'd be a very bad business, but
That'd be a
nonetheless,
very long trial period. Yeah.
very long trial. But we don't put a time limit on it. We're just, it's after 15 signings, you'll know after 5 signings if you like it. But we give you 15 to get there, and especially, I'm sure the pain of tax time is still fresh in many people's minds, and maybe even for some of those who have, filed extensions, they don't have to do it till whatever September, October. It might be a good time to start, maybe check it out. And,
Cool.
and again, it's, even once you start paying, it's $10 a month if you buy it annually. So it's like $119.95, or it's $12 a month if you pay monthly. And like the last sentence here is the same too, is don't forget it's tax deductible. So the real cost is actually much less. And if you click this learn more, it shows you, explains
it's a
how
business expense. It's a business expense for sure.
Yeah.
That's the case for all businesses.
Thank you for reminding us all about that, Marjorie. Thank you for putting this together, and thank you all, our audience, our followers, for joining us on this call. We hope you found it to be very helpful. I know I did. So thank you guys. We really appreciate you, and we will talk to you again next month.
All right.
Thank you guys.
All right.
Very nice seeing everybody.
Hello, I'm Michael Ray, CEO of Notary to Pro. Thanks for joining us for this webinar. Be sure to see our website, notarytopro.com, for more information and resources. Also, don't forget to sign up with us there for great additional updates, news, and tools. Notary to Pro is the most respected professional signing agent course in the United States. Founded by Carol Ray in 2009, Notary to Pro has trained more than 10,000 notaries to become professional signing agents. Our graduates are preferred by more signing agencies because only Notary to Pro enables notaries to practice error-free signings. Thanks again, and see you next time.